Have you ever stopped to think that the words we use every single day have these secret, sometimes kind of dark histories hiding right under our noses? Well, today we're going to do a little digging. We're uncovering the origins of a whole family of words that all sprang from one single powerful idea: death.
Morituri te salutant. Sounds dramatic, right? In ancient Rome, this was the phrase gladiators would shout to the emperor right before heading into combat. It means, those who are about to die salute you. Wow. That one sentence just perfectly sets the stage for the powerful Latin root we're talking about today.
And here it is, the root mort, or sometimes mor. It comes directly from the Latin words for death. And back in the Roman world, this idea was, well, it was everywhere. You had triumphant generals being told, Memento mori, remember you will die. And from this one single root, we got an entire family of words that are still shaping our language.
Okay, so first things first. Let's look at how this root defines our most basic state of being, what you might call the mortal condition. So, the most direct word we get from mort is, of course, mortal. It just means you're subject to death. That's us. But here's the cool part. You add one tiny prefix, im, which just means not, and you get its total opposite, immortal, something that will never ever die. This simple little language trick is the foundation for, countless myths and stories. Language loves to find a good balance. And so, the root for death, mort, has this perfect partner, the Latin root for life, viv. It's why we describe ourselves as mortal beings, but we're always looking for vital experiences. These two ancient roots, they just work together, kind of like two sides of the same coin, to talk about what it means to be human.
Okay, but how in the world does a word that means something so literal, so physical, end up describing something like our feelings? This is where the story gets really cool. So let's start with the obvious, literal meanings. You've got mortuary, a place for the dead, a post-mortem exam, that happens after death. And if someone is moribund, they're in a dying state. See? All very direct, very physical. So how did we get from that to talking about our feelings?
This right here is the big question. How does language make that jump from the absolute finality of death to that sinking internal feeling of being ashamed? Well, it all comes down to the journey of one specific word. And that word is mortify. It comes from the late Latin mortificare, which literally meant to put to death. It was brutal. But over hundreds of years, that meaning just softened. It shifted from actual physical death to a feeling of humiliation so intense that you feel like you could just die. You know the feeling, right?
But the story doesn't end with our feelings. Nope. We've seen mort in philosophy and emotions, but maybe its most surprising appearance is in a place we all have to deal with: our finances. Mortgage. It's such a common word, an everyday word, right? But have you ever really, truly stopped to think about what it means, where it came from? Because the answer is hiding right there in the word itself. And it's pretty wild. It seems like a total stretch, doesn't it? A home loan feels about as far away from Roman gladiators as you can get. So what on earth is the connection between your house payment and the concept of death?
Well, the answer comes to us from Old French. The word mortgage is literally two words smashed together: mort, which means death, and gage, which means pledge. You put them together, and a mortgage is, literally, a death pledge. So why a death pledge? It's actually kind of brilliant. The idea is that this pledge, this agreement, is designed to die one way or another. It can die a happy death when you finally pay off the loan. Or it can die a not-so-happy death if the borrower can't pay and the property gets forfeited. Either way, the pledge is destined to end.
So to wrap all this up, let's just take a look at the incredible legacy of this one root. We're calling this section a root that refuses to die, which you got to admit is pretty fitting. The idea of death has, ironically, given our language a word with some serious staying power.
Look at this. When you lay it all out, the scope is just amazing. From this one single root, mort, we get words that define our philosophical place in the universe with mortal, our most intense feelings with mortify, and even our biggest financial commitments with mortgage. It's just a perfect example of how powerful and how flexible language can be. And that kind of leaves us with one final thought, doesn't it? We've just uncovered the secret history of one single root. It really makes you wonder, what other dead words are out there, just hiding in plain sight in the things we say every day? The stories are out there, and they prove that language itself might just be the most fascinating history book we've got.